What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. So Rengar is actually set to be probably the biggest rework to ever have taken place in a class update, and honestly, I was kind of just glued to the screen reading through the direction for the Rengar rework, considering how often that guy kind of just eats me for breakfast. And although he's set up for big changes, there's been a lot of attention to the under the hood sort of stuff to also make sure that he's going to be a lot less buggy, and that's definitely a good place to start if you want to make an assassin healthier to play and play against. We're not going to go into that over here though. Our main focus is on his current abilities, his future abilities, and of course the changes he's about to receive. So let's dive right in. And as always, if you guys enjoy the video, definitely hit that like button. And if you don't, hit that dislike, because if this video gets, let's say 5,000 ratings, I'll post an embarrassing picture on my Twitter or something funny, I guess. Anyway, as an assassin, Rengar has always walked that line between kind of being either useless or just obscenely powerful, and mostly that boils down to his playstyle as kind of this stealthy one-shot sort of character. Riot wants to promote both what they call healthy gameplay and different niches for each assassin, and currently Rengar's ultimate for stealth and then insta-kill someone, well, it's not entirely ideal to fit that sort of philosophy, or rather, it's just frustrating as hell to be on the receiving end of. Being able to kill a target in half a second is just never going to be healthy gameplay, so we can expect to see changes pretty much all around for this kitty cat champion. And now that we finally got an official Riot announcement on the topic, we've got loads of information to share, and honestly, it's pretty simple to see what we can expect to see come out of the Rengar rework. For example, one thing that's for sure is it's pretty likely that Rengar will not be able to do anything like his one-shot sort of combo during a leap anymore. In fact, Riot even mentioned that he might only be able to actually cast one ability, if that, during his leap, but we were assured that his new abilities will also take that power into consideration to make sure he keeps his teeth nice and sharp. One thing we know for sure though from the Riot post is that all of his abilities, except for his E, are going to see fairly significant changes that will change the way players both play as and play against Rengar, and fortunately there's actually a ton of clues to what those changes specifically might actually be, even if they didn't necessarily outline the details. So we're going to try to explain them without getting a little bit too butthurt about the idea of just getting creamed by his new kit. First up, we got two parts to his new passive, Bone Tooth Necklace and the Ferocity system, of course. Currently, Rengar's exclusive item, Bone Tooth Necklace, is giving kind of awkward mechanics changes. It's tied to his fantasy as like this trophy hunter sort of character, which is really cool for the lore to tie in, but right now it just gives him super weird stuff to play around, like different jump ranges, random movement speed buffs, and things that just make him way too complicated to play against. And it's really awkward to play against too, because you have to learn the different ranges he can jump from and actually pay attention to the item he has and all sorts of just stuff that you shouldn't have to do. And it also rewards Rengar a little bit too much for just pouncing on the same poor squishy target over and over again for stacks, which for some reason kind of happens to be me most of the time. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of Rengar and I'm glad he's getting a rework, but this one is definitely shaping up to be quite significant, so we'll have to see how it turns out. Anyway, from what Riot have said, it's pretty likely that Rengar will gain more power in raw stats rather than actual mechanics changes from the Bone Tooth Necklace now, and you'll probably have to collect trophies from different enemy champions rather than the same one to stop Rengar players from just farming one guy over and over again for some mad stacks. Ferocity is also a big part of what makes Rengar fairly unhealthy to play against in fights, so it takes 5 stacks for the empowered ability, but he only actually has 3 abilities to stack it, so he can't entirely stack a Ferocity empowered effect during an actual fight, which means that Rengar players get to 4 stacks before a fight, and then just jump on someone and just instantly destroy them with an epic combo. Considering Riot wants his gameplay to be both healthier and more interactive, we reckon that means that he's not going to be able to actually keep his stacks anymore when he's fighting. So there's going to be like some kind of duration, I don't know, let's throw out a number, say 20 seconds, and let's say if he's not in combat after 20 seconds, then he just loses all of his Ferocity stacks. But he should also be able to stack it during a fight more easily, so he can decide whether he wants the extra damage, the snare, or whatever fancy new effect he's getting on his W. More on that later though. And so for that, it's likely that a Ferocity empowered ability is only going to require 3 stacks instead of 5 now. As for the leap from stealth or bush as part of his passive Unseen Predator, Riot have said that it's pretty unlikely that that bush jump part is going to be changed at all because it's actually quite core to his identity. So I wouldn't worry about it if you're a Rengar main. Your scary brush jump tactics and insane jukes are safe with Riot apparently, I guess. Anyway, let's talk about Rengar's Q next, Savagery. Riot mentioned in their roster update article for Rengar that although he should definitely be able to melt their health bars, he shouldn't just be able to do it instantly, and that's a huge part of what his Q was enabling him to do. So one way to balance powerful abilities like his Q Savagery are to give them like an element of failure, so like a chance to make them completely useless if you use them incorrectly, so that there's some kind of mechanical barrier that the Rengar player has to come over, and as well it gives it some counterplay. And with that in mind, we can probably expect Rengar's Q to not entirely be an auto attack enhancer probably anymore, and maybe instead it's going to be updated to be like some kind of skill shot or some kind of like conditional effect, or maybe it's going to be a lot weaker, but then under some certain condition it becomes extremely powerful. And all with the goal of forcing Rengar to think a little bit more carefully about how to approach a fight, and maybe even make using other abilities for the ferocity bonus more viable. Still, it's not like he's going to stop being savage and tearing people apart anymore. At the very least, it will hopefully give enemy players an opportunity to avoid a little bit of damage and stay alive, and that's definitely how it should be. If it does end up becoming a skill shot or some sort of element of failure on the ability, what I would actually expect, or at least what I'm going to predict here, is that it's probably going to have some kind of mark effect attached to it to make sure that Rengar's actually rewarded for the ability. You know, like he lands his Q, it marks the target, and then if he hits them with his W or something, then he gets like a bunch of bonus damage. You know, something that interacts with the rest of his kit, but also still rewards him for actually landing the ability. Next up, we have Rengar's W, or Battle Roar, which is supposedly going to be one of the most exciting parts of his upcoming rework, but Riot have actually been pretty tight-lipped about what the ability is actually going to do. From what we've heard though, this is the ability that is really just going to define Rengar's rework. The problem with his current W is that it's kind of just a button that gives Rengar a bunch of tank stats and healing. It's not particularly interesting or interactive at all, and it's not really what you would expect to see on an actual assassin character. Both the base and empowered Ws for Rengar are up for massive changes. And from what we've read, it actually seems pretty likely that it's still going to be his survival ability. Considering Riot do want to change his ferocity to be an in-fight based decision rather than like a predictive thing or like a setup sort of effect, they're looking at making his Q the killing move still, his W the survival move, and the E for that extra sort of reach and chase kind of potential to catch out an enemy. For an assassin, survival is about dishing out pain and then escaping, and at the moment, Rengar kind of just jumps in and then uses his W for some tankiness, more like a bruiser actually than an assassin sometimes. And to change that, Rengar's getting a brand new W that's probably going to be a completely new ability that gives him a way to survive that doesn't involve making him tanky. So the best bet is probably that it's going to be some kind of like speed up effect, maybe mobility, or perhaps some sort of group crowd control. The focus on in-fight decision-making means that Rengar will stack up ferocity during a fight and then decide what ability he wants to use the empowered version of, and he's not going to reliably get more than one empowered ability. If he needs to land a killing blow and do a bunch of burst damage, he can use his empowered Q. If he wants to lock down an escaping target, he can throw his Bola with his E, and as for his W, well, that's in case he ends up biting off just a little bit more than he can chew and needs a way to get out fast, or even just escaping after a successful kill. It's a little bit harder to predict what his new W is going to be transformed into just because Riot hasn't really said that much about it, and it honestly could be anything, but Riot definitely says that it's going to be a game changer, so we're pretty hyped up to see what they're going to come up with actually. What we do know for sure is that it's going to be closely linked to his ability to survive an actual fight, and Riot Repertoire said that it was still going to be kind of a roar effect, so it's probably still going to be area of effect, or still relatively familiar as he screams over your dead body. Rengar Z is Bola Strike, and Riot honestly seems pretty happy with this ability right now. You can use it to catch up an enemy, maybe an extra bit of damage. You can use it to fully lock down someone if he goes for the empowered version too. And this is an ability that I don't want to talk too much about because Riot said that they're just not really going to change it right now in this rework at all, outside of some minor adjustments to the numbers to make sure he stays as balanced as possible. And that leads us on to his ultimate, Thrill of the Hunt, which is going to be another big change to his kit, which is actually very surprising to see from my end, because I've been studying these class reworks for such a long time and over and over and over again, in these videos, I just say, like, a lot of times, if you've paid attention, I say this a lot in videos like this, where in these class reworks, they pretty much never change the ultimate. I've said that as a tool for predictions like over and over again, and it's very surprising to me, but Rengar is going to get very significant changes to his ultimate, and that's something that's pretty much confirmed, with the overall idea to give Rengar the tools he needs to outplay and outwit his enemies without really needing to just one-shot people with actual brute force. At the same time, it's also going to make sure his gameplay stays healthy, so there needs to be some kind of more meaningful counterplay against it. He's definitely not actually going to lose his stealth though, because Riot considers that another core part of his kit along with his leap effect, although it's definitely not going to stay the same because Riot has been teasing some kind of new stealth update that changes the way stealth overall works for all stealth champions, Rengar included, and they also said that the Rengar rework is going to launch with this stealth kind of update. And so Rengar's changes are being made with the new stealth system in mind, and because of that, it's difficult to guess at how Thrill of the Hunt is going to work after his update, but they're probably going to be a sizable change since Rengar is likely, almost certainly at this point honestly after reading this post, to be the biggest rework ever in a class update in the history of League of Legends. So hopefully we'll hear some news about the stealth update before long, and it's definitely going to affect a ton of champions actually, since stealth is found in a ton of different ways in different champions kits these days. It's a little bit difficult to talk indefinite about the changes Rengar is going to receive, but the clues we've heard so far make it sound like Riot have a pretty solid idea of how to introduce a bit of counterplay while still making sure that he's going to be one hell of a threat. If you guys have any guesses at what his ability changes might be, definitely let us know in the comments below, and maybe we'll see who gets it right. I'm actually pretty confident in my predictions, so we'll see how it goes, I guess. And it looks like that's going to be it from me. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.